This is the Padua Podcast Network.
Dealing with some current feelings of guilt if you have been punished by isolation in the past. Get out. Don't be isolated. You go to the doctor, it hurts when I do this. The doctor says don't do that. Running a Fever, episode 219, Running a Cabin Fever. 6 in the morning came without a warning. Paraphrasing one of my favorite 80s bands, Night Ranger. It is a little after 6 in the morning. It is pretty nice, 73 degrees here, humid. Had kind of a heat wave. I'm at Lake Atalanta in Rogers, Arkansas. First I've been out in a couple of weeks, probably. But I'm also planning to come here tomorrow with a friend and walk again. But I won't be recording. I'm coming out to do that today. So it's late July of 2020. And pandemic is still raging throughout the world with COVID-19. Well over 100,000 people have died in the United States this year. And there's still plenty of people getting out to exercise, even here at 6-something in the morning. There's plenty of cars, probably, 20 or 30 cars here. And this is a Friday morning. So life is going on, but it's not the kind of lifestyle that we want to be living. Morning. So, probably this year, hundreds of thousands of people in this country will lose their lives to COVID-19. But believe it or not, more people will die of cardiovascular disease. I'd say 500,000, I don't know, more than that. So it's important to take care of your health, and always. And that's why we're here. This is a podcast about fitness, diet, and medicine. And the goal is to live a long, healthy, happy, active life right up until we go to that big vocal booth in the sky. Beautiful day here, some clouds. I took a picture on my street, not here, but on the street where I live. So I could still see, when I was getting ready to leave, I could still see a star in the sky. And I don't know which star it was. On the evening, you sometimes see Venus. People call that the evening star, but in the morning, I'm not sure what it was. But saw a star, and then this beautiful sky. It looks mostly blue. It's got some nice, I don't know what you call that. It's kind of a pinkish, orangish reflection of the sun off of the clouds. That's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Northwest Arkansas, no place I'd rather live. There's lots of trees around this beautiful lake. And it's good to get out and breathe fresh air and see nature. And that brings me to the topic for today, which is pertinent to a lot of people these days that are being shut in because of just being cautious because the virus is out there. and that is cabin fever. So we're homebound by choice, not necessarily, but more by necessity. You know. And I mean, it's possible to get out, but we could have risk to ourselves, our families, of either catching or spreading the virus. And there's not complete knowledge about what harm it does, and when it first came out, and we were first learning about it, I was thinking, we think in terms of, viruses that are familiar to us, and I was thinking the flu, something like that. So you get it, you recover, don't need to worry about it. However, I have heard some statements about long-term effects of COVID-19, and you can certainly look for that in a future episode. I'm going to get into that later. But today we're talking about sort of an ancillary effect to the virus, which is the psychological implications of isolation. Sometimes known as people. Morning.
Morning.
Now I'm wearing a mask so I can record clearly, but putting a mask to my face when I pass people. That's how I'm dealing with this here. So cabin fever is one name for it. Also known as being stir crazy. Stir being slang for jail. So it's a problem associated with being restricted. Now, a very recent article by a psychiatrist, we're talking a month ago, mentioned this phenomenon as an overlap of reality with symbolic types of conflicts. If it's only cabin fever that you're dealing with. Good morning.
Morning.
All right. So he's talking about being symbolic of other things. So if it's only cabin fever itself, the isolation, that discomfort that you're dealing with, it can be handled in a couple of different ways. One, the obvious one, is get out and don't be isolated. You go to the doctor, it hurts when I do this. The doctor says don't do that. And the ducks are up early today too. So one of the ways you can deal with it is talking about it. At least seems to reduce the discomfort that you get from being in the house all the time. But cabin fever can also trigger emotions from dealing with other things. It can kind of trigger post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, bringing back thoughts of, for example, punishment. If you were told to, stand in a corner, or were locked up in your room as a child for some sort of punishment, that can bring that back. Actual prison, of course. And of course, if you've been in prison or something like that, then it can trigger those things, right? So you can be experiencing PTSD based on the idea that it brings up these old feelings. Now, if you're, one of the things he brought out, he's a psychiatrist, right? So it could be that you're dealing with some current feelings of guilt if you have been punished by isolation in the past. And give some examples of patients that have been in those situations and had experienced these symptoms of PTSD. So check that out. Links will be in the show notes. Now, cabin fever is sometimes treated as seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, midwinter depression. Having to stay in, particularly when the weather is nice, can be very difficult. But getting out may not be that difficult. I'm doing it today. I'm having to put up with putting a mask to my face every few minutes, but I feel like I'm doing it safely, so there's a possibility. If you have a park nearby, or you're fortunate enough to have a country estate that you can go to and walk around, that's good. So do that. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. So I'm showing you on this show, you can even wear your mask and walk a whole 5.5 miles like we did in a previous episode at Lake Fayetteville. And you can walk that with your mask on. So the guidelines are still the same. Wear a mask or keep 6 feet of distance between yourself and others. And even when you do this, it's more risky than staying at home, probably, depending on your home situation, but probably it is. Again, if you live in a place where people are packed in like sardines, well, it may actually be safer than being at home. But it's certainly a relief from the stress, often known as cabin fever. And stress is a killer. As sure, if not as fast, as COVID-19. So the bottom line is, you need to keep yourself psychologically fit to weather the COVID-19 storm. So get out of nature if you can and connect with someone via phone or Zoom or otherwise, and just talk about how stir crazy you are. Joke about it, share about it, and we can get through this thing together. So you know how I've dealt with it. I'm out here. I don't know. I want to get out more often. I got to tell you that I feel this. I really do. I feel this stir craziness. And so it's a challenge, but we can get through it. So if you don't have the fever, go out and catch it. Catch the fever, not cabin fever, but running a fever. And if you do have it, well, just keep the faith, and I'll talk to you next time.